Hey everybody, welcome to My Usual Me. In this video, I want to talk a little bit about how YouTube saved my life. Now, did YouTube actually, literally save my life? Yes. Do I believe that without this channel, I would actually be dead and buried in the ground? Yes. Yes, I do. For those of you who had been around for some time, you may have heard the story I'm about to tell you, but for those of you who aren't familiar with my history, any comments or questions you might have are more than welcome in the comment section down below. Now, some of the details may seem vague, but that's on purpose. And if you've ever been in a situation like this, or you know someone who has been in a situation like mine, I'd like to think that you would understand why. You see, it all started in 2014 in October. I was driving from my house to a place that I had needed to be at a certain time in a vehicle that I had just bought. The state I had previously lived in only required a license plate on the back of the vehicle and not in the front, so because of that, I had only put on one plate on my car and neglected the front one because I didn't think it was necessary. But the officer that pulled me over told me that that wasn't the case and that I needed both plates. He also proceeded to mention that it smelled like alcohol and I needed to step out of the car. Now, I refused the roadside sobriety test, which landed me immediately in jail because, well, that's what they do when you refuse, and because I did, later on down the road, the DA found there was no actual proof that I was intoxicated, so all the charges were dropped. But the thing is, when they take you to jail, they have to give you a breathalyzer test to make sure you're not going to die on their watch. They can't just use that result in court, though, so if you don't give your permission in the first place, it's inadmissible. Because if you know anything about alcoholism, if you've been drinking for a very long time and then you don't have it, it can kill you. You can go into cardiac arrest and you can die. And I nearly died in that jail cell before I was released. But I didn't. I was lucky. You see, I'm an alcoholic. I've been an alcoholic since I was an early teenager. I had been drinking better than a fifth of Everclear a day. Now let that sink in. More than a fifth of Everclear per day for the better part of 6 months when they arrested me. So when I came down, it not only hurt, it crushed me. Delirium tremors, or DTs, they're no joke. Putting aside the fact that I truly believe I nearly went into cardiac arrest in the jail cell I was in because they never sent me a nurse I begged for multiple times, after I got home, I knew that if I was convicted, I most likely would go to jail for up to 2 years. So I knew I had no choice. I had to stop drinking completely, immediately, and without hesitation. I mean, it was the scariest thing I've ever experienced. I had had the DTs before when I quit drinking vodka, which I had been drinking vodka for like the last 20 years, but this was on a whole nother level. My guts were on fire, my muscles ached and spasmed, my head spun around like I had been knocked around by an MMA fighter for half a dozen rounds, and there are only 5 rounds in a fight. And then there were the shakes. Imagine grabbing a bottle of Gatorade, you know, the ones with the really big massive round openings, with both hands and shaking so terribly bad that you can't even get any of it into your mouth without spilling half of it into your lap. That's how it was for days. And then there was the fear. And I'm not talking about the going to jail fear. I knew what that was all about. I had been to jail in the past. I'm talking about night terrors. For almost 2 weeks in a row, every time I would fall asleep, I would suddenly feel like I was falling from a massive height, like from a skyscraper or an airplane. Then I would wake up, my heart thumping, my entire being shaking and twitching, and I would be drenched in sweat, all the way through the blankets and the sheets down to the mattress. It was literally hell on earth, literally hell on earth inside my body. Now, fast forward to Christmas 2014, okay? The physical symptoms I had pretty much subsided, and I had gotten word from the DA that all the charges had been dropped, but I was still having nightmares pretty regularly. So more often than not, in the middle of the night, I found myself on the computer, either watching a show that was streaming or some random YouTube video, just trying to tire myself out enough to go back to sleep. But through this entire process, I knew one thing. I needed to focus. I I needed something, anything. And it didn't matter what it was, so long as it kept my mind off of the drinking. And that's all I thought about ever. It's what alcoholics do. I mean, what I've been doing for 20 years. My entire being was geared toward how to get my next drink as soon as possible. The only problem was that if I stepped onto that path again, for even a little bit or even once, it was going to kill me for real this time. That's a fact. So I was sitting there one night, really close to like New Year's Eve, and I was thinking about resolutions and whatnot, and I said, dude, why don't you make a YouTube channel? I mean, I'd seen daily vloggers and watched enough of them to know that it required an immense amount of time and energy to make videos and post regularly, and I thought, I could do that. I mean, I was still going to have to hold down a job during the day to pay the bills, but it wasn't during the day that I was worried about. It was after I got out of work that was a problem. I mean, I get bored easy, super easy. So I'd drink. That's what I did. I'd get off work, I'd come home, pour myself 3 fingers of whatever, top it with whatever, swallow, repeat, and did that till I went to bed. And then I'd get up in the morning, pour myself 2 more fingers twice, just to take care of the shakes long enough to get through the day. And over and over and over again. And YouTube honestly seemed to be that thing that might actually be able to replace that other thing. The only problem was I didn't know how to edit. I didn't even have an editing program, much less know how to use one. I had a bad, crappy laptop, and I had no money. I had no camera. Everybody used a camera, right? I mean, everybody. And then what was I going to do? What kind of channel was I going to make? A cooking show? I mean, I'd been in restaurants for 25 years. I was a chef. I'd been to culinary school. I knew how to write a script. I'd seen the Food Network. But then I found Steam, and I found the game that would change everything. A couple of months before, I had been having all my hellish nightmares, right? So one in particular stood out by how vivid it was in my memory. Now, I don't know, if I'm going to be honest, I don't know at this point if it was just seems more vivid because it came true, or if it was really as vivid as I think it was because I dreamt it in the first place. I'm not sure. But all I know is that one day in 2015, I picked up a copy of a game by the name of 7 Days to Die. Now, I was playing the game. It's a zombie game, if you don't know it. A post-apocalyptic survival game where you have to run around, survive as long as you can without being eaten by the undead. Anyway, in my dream, months before, I was being chased by zombies. No big deal, right? Typical nightmare. But as I ran into the forest, which was all fogged up, out of nowhere, this pack of what I thought were rabid dogs came through the trees and started to attack me. You know, we fight, I struggle, then I wake up, I'm all drenched in sweat, yada yada, you know the rest. Anyway, I buy this game called 7 Days to Die and I start to play it. And lo and behold, I find myself where? In a forest, being chased by zombies, when this dog shows up out of nowhere. And it's not any ordinary dog. This is the same Doberman rat bastard that was in my dreams a couple months back. Now, I had never even heard of Steam or this game back then, but let me tell you something. When that zombie dog killed my character, it was like a light switch being flipped. It was crazy. It was unreal, man. I didn't need a camera. Let's Plays require minimal editing in the beginning. I love video games. This one could be played on my laptop. I mean, the positive boxes just kept getting checked off more and more I thought about it. And it wasn't long after that I put my very first video up on YouTube. It's still on my channel, and I keep all my videos as a reminder of where I came from and what I did this for in the first place. Because, you see, this isn't just a hobby. This will never be just a job or a career for me. This is a journey. This is a journey and a video diary of sorts to leave behind for others to enjoy long after I'm gone. Nothing lasts forever, but if I can create something every day that at least one person enjoys, then I feel like I've done my part. And I wouldn't have been able to do any of this if YouTube didn't exist. Would I have found something else to keep me from drinking myself to death? Maybe. But I didn't find another thing. I found YouTube. And as far as I'm concerned, YouTube saved my life. So YouTube, thank you. Thank you for providing a platform that allowed me to stay here a little longer. And thank you. Yeah, you that's watching me right now, thank you. They may have started it, but you keep me going every single day. YouTube saved my life, but you keep me alive. So as I always say, I am my usual me, you be your usual you. We'll see you in the next video, and thanks for watching.